Ahead of the president's visit to Jerusalem, the Palestinians have begun a charm offensive of sorts, saying they're ready for peace and telling Mr. Trump he is just the man who can do the impossible. But Israelis say the media offensive is disingenuous at best, as Palestinian leadership still celebrates the bombers and gunmen that have taken so many Israeli lives. To talk about the Israeli counteroffensive, David Keyes, Prime Minister Netanyahu's spokesman, join us as we overlook the old city. David, great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is this? Is this a new precondition of the Israeli government? Is this a posturing by the Israeli government against the Palestinians? What's happening here?
It's not a precondition for any kind of talks, but what it is a realization that peace can't really move forward if the Palestinian president is actively infusing the next generation with hate for the Jewish people and the Jewish state.
You guys have really gone on the offensive about this, though. There's now YouTube videos, there's Twitter messages from the Prime Minister. What examples are we dealing with here?
Well, look, President Abbas said that he supports educating his people for peace. He said that he is actively educating his people for peace. And I just have a few quick questions for President Abbas. Does someone who educates for peace dedicate statues to terrorists? Does somebody who educates for peace honor mass murderers of Israelis in Palestinian schools? Does someone who educates for peace pay hundreds of millions of dollars a year to terrorists who murder Israelis? $1 billion has gone to President Abbas, has given $1 billion to people who have murdered Israelis. Think about the effect of that money.
No, and we're seeing this in the videos that you guys are putting up. I saw from the United States, Senator Graham putting out a bill essentially calling for cutting off money to the PA, the Palestinians, as long as they are continuing to do this. I'm assuming you all support that?
Well, we don't normally comment on legislation, but I can say that, of course, we support the end of monies going to murderers and terrorists, and this is absolutely in the right direction because it's outrageous. Think about what $1 billion could have done. Think about if that had gone to peace education.
Israel has a peace treaty with Jordan. You got a peace treaty with Egypt as well. I think you could agree those are going pretty well. The question is, there's a lot of incitement in Jordan. There's a lot of incitement against Israel in Egypt as well. What makes this different?
Well, one of the main differences is this is really a top-down phenomenon where President Abbas himself goes on television and says, we welcome every drop of blood spilled in Jerusalem. He doesn't say we condemn every drop of blood spilled in Jerusalem. Think about if $1 billion had gone to peace education, as I said. Think about if statues had gone up to Gandhi or Mother Teresa or Andrei Sakharov instead of mass murderers. Think about educating the next generation for peace instead of war. But instead, President Abbas is diverting so much money to teach young children that the best thing that they can do is murder Israelis.
Something certainly that the Prime Minister is going to bring up with President Trump, probably some of the examples we just showed that you all are putting out as well. Yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu doubled down on saying he wants not only the U.S. embassy, but all embassies moved to Jerusalem. Give us a sense, how serious of a request is this? Is this something that you want done tomorrow? Because there's a lot of people who say it's not worth the cost in terms of what will happen in the West Bank and could happen in the Arab world if that move is made.
Well, of course we want not only the U.S. embassy, but all embassies of countries around the world to move to Jerusalem.
And you're not worried about the potential consequences?
Well, I think that this conflict ultimately boils down to recognition of the other. And what some Arab states, and certainly what the Palestinians are trying to do, is to delegitimize Israel by saying, you don't really have a connection. That's why votes in UNESCO and the UN that say, you don't really belong in Jerusalem are so damaging, because that's what this conflict is about. So it's an axiomatic and self-evident truth that Jerusalem is the capital of the State of Israel. It's been the epicenter of the Jewish people's moral, religious, and political life for literally thousands of years. There's absolutely no reason.
So moving the embassy, in your view, verifies that as a stamp of approval from the world of what you just said?
Well, it's a stamp of approval of a basic truth. It's a stamp of approval of the realization that Jerusalem is the capital of the Jewish people and the State of Israel. And that's been evident for literally thousands of years.
David Keyes, you're going to have a busy couple weeks coming up. This isn't your first interview. Appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you very much.